Good afternoon, Paula.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I see we have our host, Aftab, with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's always a pleasure, Paula.
Let me make it so that you can share your screen.
Sure.
And Aftab, do you want us to ask questions as we go, or would you prefer we held them to the end?
As we go is fine. Yep.
Okay.
But towards the end, if anybody has a question, no issue about it. Anytime you want, please.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 12:01. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I have Aftab Khan with me. He's from BRASI, and I'm going to turn the floor to you so you can introduce yourself, give us a little bit about your background, and then start the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula. It's very heartening to see so many people, so many students, our dear students from Pures attending this talk. Really, I'm very delighted. Thank you so much for taking all the time. This is a very important topic in supply chain management, and that's why we are all here. So I'll share my presentation, and which will have also my introduction and everything else. But you can hear me clearly, right? Any
Yes.
issues? Okay, perfect. So before we go there, if anybody can answer me this couple of questions. What is your interest in this particular topic? Safety stock is a very specific, although a very central topic in supply chain management, but it is a very specific topic, technical subject. What drives you to come here today and listen and hear about this topic? It's in your curriculum, or studying it, or you heard about it, or you have in your work previously you have experienced safety stock issues. So just a couple of people, what do you think? My question is it in your curriculum? Have you studied it?
Sir?
Yep.
Yeah,
Charlotte?
actually, during my experience in my previous company in Dubai, I handled the inventory, and there's so many things of discussion about safety stock. So I want to know more about it, like this extra quantities that you have to be in your stock to be safe every time you have some problem, the manufacturer or the supplier. So I want to know more about it. And also I'm studying supply chain right now. So I'm having a co-op on the next semester. So I want to know more about it. Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you so much. I think you answered the question for many of us here, that you in your curriculum, you're studying it. And when you worked in Dubai, a great place to work, you had experience with safety stock, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. It's a very hot topic for many industries. It can make your industry, your company. So let's jump right into it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Very nice, thank you. So we'll talk about safety stock, understanding it, the ins and outs, as deep as we can go in this short amount of time, but it's, like I said, a very sensitive topic. And fortunately, unfortunately, sometimes it is managed by a policy decision before even I started. But let's know, I have so much to talk about this, I can get overwhelmed. Okay, so let's go. Today's topic is understanding safety stock and supply chains, what it is. Pierce College, of course, you studied there. It's an amazing institution. Very bright students come to our courses from there. Great knowledge. This curriculum is amazing. And when we learn more about inventory and supply chain from BRASI, it combines to make you a great professional with certification credentials. BRASI is a 40, like just mentioned by Paula, thank you so much, is a 42 years old organization now, 41 years. In international stature, working with UN to train their people, and with many colleges and affiliates. And we love to work with the students to help them with their learning and career advancement. So collaboration, all those things, nice stuff. My name is Aftab Khan. I'm an engineer by profession and MBA and 2 certifications. About 45 years in supply chain management, right from the very beginning in early 80s, 70s, 80s. Then computers came along, and then I worked for pharmaceuticals and food and beverages, personal products. So been around, uh, but still, I mean, it's a vast subject. I can hardly claim that I know anything about it, but just keep learning and keep learning from you guys. Amazing new students and new thinking, different thought process. It's wonderful. So today we'll discuss is where is it all coming from? The demand and supply chain, inventory, and safety stock, right? Okay. Then what is safety stock? What's used for? What planning level it is used in? So the things that some topics here or something that I'm saying may require further understanding. Like when I say planning level, you might ask, what's that? So ask the question, okay? I'll try to explain quickly. Planning level meaning hierarchy. So I'm saying that you may not be familiar with everything that's here, excuse me, but feel free to stop me and we'll go over that quickly. Variability, how to calculate safety stock, what's based on the variability and customer service level factor, and then reviewing and maintaining safety stock. That's what Charlotte was saying, that if you don't have a policy about safety stock, it can become a debate rather than a discussion. And you may not have decisions, you may have just a decree or like an order, hey, keep 3 months safety stock. Why? I don't know, just keep 3 months. But that's not a business decision. It's just like somebody's gut feeling, which is not bad. I mean, experience teaches a lot of things, but you have to support by numbers. See, in business, numbers speak. Without number, you are toast. Trust me. You have to defend your proposal. You have to defend your thinking. You have to defend your understanding of the business by presenting in numbers. Okay. And then in the end, I'll take an opportunity to few minutes to present to you the courses that you can benefit from at BRASI. All right, let's go. What is demand? Sorry. Demand is customers' need for products and services. We all need products like what we're wearing, dresses, what we use, computers, cars, what we eat, food, what we medicine, and then services. We need to talk to somebody, a lawyer, a doctor. We need to go get an advice, or maybe we will entertain ourselves, want to watch a movie. They're all services, right? We go to post office to post something. All services use some sort of materials. You go to post office, it's a service, but you need an envelope, need a stamp, you need a box to ship something. UPS is a service. FedEx is a service, but they need material. The whole warehouse is full of packing supplies. Similarly, products, of course, need services. You buy a refrigerator, it doesn't work properly, you can call somebody, service technician comes in, looks at it, and fixes it. You have heating system in your house, need servicing. So all products need servicing, and all services need materials. So material inventory is a centerpiece of all supply chains, whether product supply chain or service supply chain, right? So there's a demand from customers for various things. Supply is your response to that demand. You supply a product or supply a service like medicine. A doctor will analyze an area, how many patients will need my services. So that's how they will look at their clinic and all that. So what is supply chain? Of course, this word is not new to you. You have definitions, you've been studying it, you've been working in it. So in simple words, term supply chain is a collaboration of different organizations to deliver products and services to customer. The supplier versus supply chain. Supply is the product, is the thing that you supply to deliver. Supply chain is the vehicle on which you supply. And of course, we know that supply chain integration, collaboration, different organizations join hands. And safety stock, of course, inventory, as it travels through different organizations. Think of tea, right? We all drink tea. Tea travels from garden where it is grown in Africa or African countries, Kenya, Tanzania, etc., from India, China, Indonesia, where it's grown, all the way to where we consume it. So at each stage is an inventory. Okay. All the materials used in manufacturing and distribution of products and services, including the end product of finished good, that's of course the inventory, has the highest value in the entire supply chain because it accumulates all the costs by the time it reaches the final destination. So what's safety stock now? Safety stock is that component of inventory which is there for a specific reason. It is added on top of the demand, the demand at the very top, demand right there. Safety stock is in excess of your customer's demand. You buy more stuff, you keep more stuff, more product. Why? To buffer against unforeseen variability in demand or supply. Can be issues with demand. Demand spiked, went up for some reason. Hey, if you want to make money, you need to have material available. You don't want to tell your customers, sorry, we don't have. Sometimes you may have to do it because there's no other way. It's not there. Or supply may become short. There's delay in shipping, like has happened today. COVID has shown us a lot of ups and downs, upheavals in supply, right? So now remember, safety stock is not maintained for special causes like COVID, like hurricane, like disasters. No, safety stock in its supply chain terminology is that specific amount of excess supply that you order on an ongoing, continuous basis. That's safety stock. Other things are given different names. Any questions here on this slide, guys?
Yes.
No, sir.
No, very good. Thank you. So I really like the confirmation. If you're okay with it, my pace, my speaking, and the depth, that's really very good to have a feedback. Then I can slow down or speed up or pick
So
up or down.
mostly safety stock is like backup stock, right, sir? We can say in other words.
Backup is stock. You see, for the same thing, you can use different words. You're right. Backup stock is general language, right? Backup stock, buffer stock. You can say buffer. You can say just in case quantity, etc., etc. But my friend, in every profession, there is a terminology, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Medicine, doctors use that, lawyers use that, engineers use that. Supply chain has a specific terminology. Try to stick to the standard term. Why? Because it differentiates the meaning. An example here, we have heard the word backlog a lot. There's a backlog, right?
Right.
And there's a word called back order. These
Right.
two have total different meanings. Back or log means we have a backlog to continue working. A continuity does not mean that we are missing customer orders. We are continuing. Like you go to a workshop, take your car, you say, okay, I want to get this car serviced. That's okay, you'll get it tomorrow. Meaning that they will need a day because there are 10 other cars in the lot already. You are number 11. You agreed to pick it tomorrow. That's a backlog of work for them. Until tomorrow, it is not a back order. But if they miss to give you car back tomorrow, then it's a misorder. That's the back order. So what I'm saying is that use safety stock, because then you will see other words too, which is called inventory build, buffer stock. You will also hear stockpile. They have specific meanings. So for a general person to say, yeah, backup stock, we won't mind. Because supply chain, if I know that you're from supply chain, if you say backup stock, I would say, well, really, what do you mean? I don't know the term. If you're talking supply chain-ish, then you have to say safety stock. So I understand. So just to answer your question, but that's right comment. Yeah, it is backup stock. It's a backup to be used when you need it. Very nice. Good understanding. So where do we keep safety stock? Some very basic concepts, building blocks, but not everybody is clear about these things. Raw materials. Each company buys raw materials to process and to make finished goods. Companies who supply raw materials to you, for them, your raw material is their finished good. For example, a bakery buys flour to bake bread. Flour is their raw material. They buy it. They buy margarine. They buy other, sugar and salt and all that. Those products come from company who make them. For them, that's the finished product. So when you buy raw material, that's your raw material. Whatever you buy, pipes and steel and copper and fabric and etc. That's raw materials. You keep safety stock at raw materials level. Why? To buffer against variability in supply. Your supplier delays. There's some breakdown there, or the truck gets delayed. There's snowstorm and all that. So to buffer that variability. And then at the other end of the business, finished good. The back end raw material and the front end finished goods. Why the finished good? Again, your customer. If you want to maintain a customer service level, meaning that you want to ship the product to them when they need it, you want to have some backup stock, some buffer stock, something to dig into if orders become more than you had planned. It's all about forecasting and then serving. So forecast was 100, orders come out to be 110 for the month. What do you do now? If you have safety stock of some sort, you will dip into that and still satisfy your customer need. You'll be happy, they'll be happy. All right. We do not keep safety stock for the inventory type that is called work in process. You know, when you buy raw materials, before it becomes finished good, it is going through a process. If you're making garments, you buy fabric, you buy thread, you buy dyes, chemicals. Of course, you can get the fabric from the store, you cut it, you stitch it, you do it, all that packing, etc. So 4, 5, 6 days it is in your work in process. You do not keep safety stock there. First of all, it's different stages. Which stage would you keep at? Secondly, you buffer against any variability by rescheduling, by prioritizing. If the chemical or dye for this shirt is not available, oh, it'll come tomorrow. Well, let's do the other t-shirt. So you work around like that. That's why you do not need safety stock on WIP. Maintenance MRO, you had different policy for replenishment. You have two-bin system. You don't really need that kind of approach for that. So this is a finished good in true terms is the reordering of materials a little bit ahead of time. That's all it's, guys. So to understand this, a very important point. There's a thing, especially those who work with ERP systems like SAP or JD Edwards or Oracle. You will hear these two terms: safety stock and safety lead time. You know what lead time is? You start something, you end, the time in between is lead time, right? That every activity takes time. That's called lead time in our language. So having a safety stock and ordering it sooner is the same thing, right? You need something in March, you order ahead of time to come in February. Is inventory sitting there before time? That's safety stock. So safety lead time and safety stock are interchangeable. A lot of people use that to work around authorizations. Company did not authorize $200 million of safety stock. So what I do is I order ahead of time. The company doesn't know that because you're placing order ahead of time. So it's an objection, but you are in effect, you are creating safety stock. So just remember that safety lead time and safety stock are interchangeable, right? So we need to understand that because the planning level at which it is ordered is the MRP level, okay? Material requirement planning, MRP. It's now the strategic level. So there are 3-4 levels in planning: strategic level, long-term planning. You're not ordering materials for that. And it's not execution level, which is like day to day tomorrow, because it's already there. You're shipping out of it. So planning level will plan this next month's production, plan next 6 months production, the budget for the year. That's where you institute safety stock, meaning that you will produce a little bit over the demand to be able to serve the market. Now, terminology here. If you are a seasonal products manufacturing company, for example, Christmas products, for example, Halloween cookies or Halloween candies, you are building inventory for Halloween because a company does not carry capacity to do all the Halloween candies in the month that they're selling it. You'll create a factory that's a huge factory to produce the entire candy demand in 1 month, and then what are they doing all year round, sitting idle, right? So we maintain a 2-month capacity and start building from April, March, April, right? And next month they start making candies for Halloween. Would you believe it? Right, exactly. Hershey's, you come to here, Pennsylvania. I'll go with you to Hershey's. They start making in April for Halloween. So that's not safety stock. That's called pre-build, seasonal pre-build. You have some amount of calibration there, and there's different strategy to address that. What if demand goes up as we get close to the season? What if we see season going down because of some reason? So that then you adjust the demand as you go there, but it's not safety stock in typical terms. Safety stock is MRP based planning level, right? It's not for maintenance shutdown. You have a plant, you should shut it down for a month during summer every year to maintain, to do servicing and all that, calibrate it. No, that's not safety stock. That's your pre-build for shutdown. And it's not a stockpile. Like your government keeps a stockpile of medicines, supplies, emergency supplies, food. You store food in your basement. Can dry foods, something happen, you can go to market, I'll have something to eat. Those are not safety stock. They are stockpiles, they are pre-built, they are maintenance shutdown, supply, all that. In its strict terms, safety stock for inventory is what you put into planning level, MRP. It kicks an order, or it adds an order each time or increases in that quantity to maintain that buffer on an ongoing level. This clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Perfect, very good. So we're on the same page. So what does safety stock is based? What is safety stock based on? How do we determine how much to carry? Okay, we agree. We need some kind of buffer to continue customer service so that we're not out of stock, customers are happy. Excuse me. So the reason, as we discussed already, is that there is an underlying variability in the market. Not a special cause, common cause. Things happen, right? So yeah. Okay, we'll come to calculation later on. I think I put it here on this a little bit before accuracy. Yep. Perfect. This is where we will end actually. So variability is the driver, the root cause behind keeping safety stock. Don't forget, safety stock is inventory. Inventory costs money. We all know that, right? Inventory costs money in terms of carrying cost. You buy $1 million worth of stuff and you buy to do what? To sell it with a margin to make money. The time it is sitting in your warehouse, it is costing you money while sitting there. You all agree on that? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. To maintain a given amount of safety stock means you're adding cost to your inventory profile, right? So why do you do that? For customer service. And how much is a very good question. Like Charlotte just said in the beginning, she said, how much, right? How much to carry and when? So how much is the key decision? It can cost millions of dollars to you, depending on the size of business. So you have to justify. You have to have a very robust method to say, okay, this is what I think we should keep this much safety stock, and that's why. And your company can say, yes, agree to it, or they can say, well, that's lots of money. Can we live a little bit less? That's different. That's the managerial decision based on other factors. But to begin with, you must have a very sound footing to propose a meaningful number. That's where our role comes in as supply chain professionals. We need to understand that method, how to propose a safety stock that you can defend. All right. So the main measure of safety stock is standard deviation. Those who have studied statistics, normal distribution, they know that that bell curve is all around that. There's a mean, a norm, and there is a dispersion around that. We are concerned with the dispersion. What is the variability between your forecast and your actual orders? That's the key. And then, so two numbers go into it. One, the variability, which is represented as standard deviation. The other one is target customer service level. Where do you want to be? What do you want to achieve? 95%, meaning that out of 100 orders, you are okay with only 5 orders missing a date by a day or two, or being a little bit less quantity than the customer ordered. But 95 orders out of 100, you want to go out on time, full quantity. That's customer service level. If you say 90%, you mean that you're okay with letting 10 orders go out of sync. 90 should be. So average industry average for most consumer goods corporations is 95, ballpark, thumb rule 95%. So I try to maintain 95%. Why those two numbers are important, you will see that in a second. So we'll come to the calculation in a bit. Let's do this first. Yeah, let's do this first, then we'll go to calculation. So once we decide and determine safety stock, we cannot let it be there forever. Why? Because it's like turning your light on in your room and leaving it on, whether somebody's using it or not. So safety stock is money. If it is being put to good use, if it is being used, there's a test, there's an audit. You go back and check how many times during the past year the inventory went down to the level where you had to use safety stock. Those two time points.
Yeah, excuse me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does safety stock increase the expenditure for inventory, like maintaining the inventory, or else it affects the inventory turnover ratio for a company? Like, because even safety stocks being stored somewhere and cover some area, right, sir? And does we include safety stocks when we calculate inventory turnover ratio? That's the big point. Like, that's a big question from my side.
Excellent, very good question. Thank you so much. Yes to both questions. Yes, safety stock as a part of inventory cost money. If your 100 boxes of your product cost $100 to keep, if you add 10 boxes of safety stock, it'll cost $10 extra for keeping it, 1-to-1 ratio. So yes, safety stock is part of inventory. It'll cost you money exactly the same way as your inventory costs. Number two, when calculating the inventory turns, remember the formula. What's the formula for inventory turns? It is COGS, right? Cost of goods, yeah.
Sold.
Cost of goods sold divided by
Cost of goods sold, average inventory.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's great. So cost of goods sold is your, for the period, like take 1 year, usually 1 year. So whatever you sold, the cost of the sale is not sale, it's not sales price, it's not sales, it's not sale, remember, right? So cost of what you sold before the margin. So cost of goods sold, COGS, divided by average inventory. So how do you get the average inventory? COGS you can get from your income statement.
Yeah, average inventory is opening inventory plus closing inventory divided by 2. That is the normal formula. Or no,
Yeah,
opening minus
you're
closing.
right.
Opening minus closing divided by 2.
You're right. I mean, that's formula is a theory. There's formula when you don't know the amounts. But for when you're talking about safety stock, you have a company, a real situation, then you will have a history of average inventory. You have the actual inventory at the close of January, close of February, close of March, close of April, close of May, June, July. You have 12 time points of inventory. Right? Add them up, divide by 12. Then you got the real actual inventory average. That's what you use for you. That's what you use for your formula, right? So that average for the month-end inventory will include safety stock.
Right.
Because it is inventory, right?
Right.
Yeah. So did I answer both of your questions?
Yes, sir. That's absolutely right. I got the answer.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So you cannot determine safety stock and leave it on autopilot. You have to look around and keep doing the audit every so often, maybe once a year, maybe once in 2 years, depending on how your business changes, how dynamic it is. So market conditions can change, competition can come in, and your cycle times change, your distribution centers, the network has different dimensions, demographics, you know, population changes, new people come in, old people go out, and tastes change because new products are there. Look at cereal, breakfast cereal, how many types are there? It's mind-boggling. Economy goes up and down through its cycles. Pandemic happened, then went back. Product life cycle, your own product life cycle. At what stage it is. Introduction, you don't want a safety stock. You want the forecast to be higher, but safety stock is established when the product is like grown and is matured. So you can see the forecast, the relationship between forecast and actual. So there has to be a certain amount of data before you can do your safety stock analysis. Then decline. Why would you keep safety stock on declining product? Because product goes out and then you're sitting on safety stock. So you have to monitor safety stock. That's what I'm saying, right? Excuse me. Then also, what also can change? Forecast accuracy. You have hired somebody, a forecasting manager, demand planning manager. That person, he or she, start using a computer, and she start learning, and she's learning from peer, from seniors, from coaching, mentoring. Year or two down the road, she's now so good at forecasting. She knows the market. She has gut feeling, and then her forecast accuracy goes from 80% to 90%. With that better ability to sense the market, you don't need huge amount of safety stock. Why not save money? Drop your safety stock to where you need it. You don't need extra. Again, you will do the audit, see how many times last year do you actually use safety stock, right? His skills became better. You change the tools. You bought a new software for forecasting. Hey, new dynamics, new algorithms, new accuracy, etc., etc. So an audit helps keep the safety stock accurate, not too much, not too less, not too low, not too little, while supporting customer service, but not killing yourself by spending too much money on it. So that's the way you want to be. Let's go back. Let's do some building block. How much time do we have? Oh, we have enough time. We might close earlier. Paul, is that an issue?
No, it's not an issue.
Thank you. Or we may not, depending on how many questions do we get. So now we're going into the calculations, right? Can you see my spreadsheet, or do I have to share again?
It's still buffering. We're waiting.
Okay, maybe I'll have to, because I made a mistake. I shared PowerPoint. I should have shared my screen. Let me unshare. Share again. Screen share. Screen, yeah, not the software, but the screen. That's what we should have done. Can you see my spreadsheet now?
Yes.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, so a lot of numbers here, but we'll go step by step. Don't worry, okay? This is a typical safety stock calculation file spreadsheet. You can ask me, I'll send you a copy. This is what we use in industry and businesses. What you do is this. You take last year, so you have to have data. You have to have data to build on. So last year's data is good enough. You may want to use 3 years data, 3 years average, 2 years average, depending on how dynamic your product, your service is. If it's business too dynamic, too much changing, then you use not too old data, like 1 year, maybe 2 years, but it's very stable. You can go back 3, 4, 5 years for more data, but 1 to 3 years is the norm. So this was we had forecasted last year. So of course you make forecast before the period begins or before the year begins. So at that time, we're making the business forecast, the budgeting, all that. You are saying, okay, I'm going to sell 85 units in January, 115 here, and so on and so forth. That was your forecast for the year before the year began. And of course, as you go through the year, you keep adjusting your forecast. You don't lock it in and you just say, I don't care what the market says. No, you tune into the market and keep adjusting the forecast. That's what we study in moving average method of forecast update, and the exponential smoothing method and forecast update. Those two methods are to update the forecast, to keep it current, to keep it live and active, in touch with the reality of the market. But this was what you did before. That's why a very, very important thing. when you're gauging forecast accuracy, which forecast do you compare with? A forecast that was made a year ago, forecast that was made 3 months ago. So it's called the lag, LAG lag. So you compare this month's, the past month result, January's result, actual sale, against the forecast made when? Same month? It's very easy. Maybe 3 years, maybe 3 months ago.
3 months or 3 years.
Yeah, maybe not
Whether we compare quarterly or on the basis of half yearly or annually, so right? The comparison, when we compare the stocks or inventory, we usually consider either quarterly or half yearly or annually.
You compare this, if you want to determine this forecast accuracy, it's done once a year. You can do it half year if you're very dynamic, where things are changing fast upon you. You can choose to do it once a half a year, but once a year for the safety stock update, once a year is enough for most companies. So this forecast, what I'm saying is this forecast may not have been made a year ago. It may have been adjusted on a 3-month lag basis. But whichever method you adopt, regardless, there's a forecast and there's actual sale. That's what we're concerned with right now, okay? So forecast was made at 485. Actual sale at the end of the month turned out to be 880. February, it was 115. So this is all behind us. Since we have actuals for December, it means that December has already happened. Otherwise, we won't have actual, right? So this is clearly this past year's data. You are with me on that, right? This is history. This is history. This is history.
Yes.
Right. So okay. So we have 1 year's history. What was forecast and what was actually sold. Next step is to, for each month, you do the variance. Variance is
Difference.
And always remember that, guys, always actual minus forecast. Never do forecast minus actual. It makes a difference. Always actual minus forecast. So in this month, the variance was the negative. The forecast 85 ended up with 80 minus 5. So this is showing you were behind the forecast. Next month, you were above forecast. Okay. You forecast 15, 115, and so on, 20, so on and so forth. So these numbers have signs, plus or minus, depending on whether the forecast was above, the actual was above or below the forecast. You will have a sign here, as we can see. Now, this sign doesn't help us. We need a net number. You know why? Because in 1 month you sold -5, like here, and other month you sold 5 plus 5. What's the average variation? -5 plus 5, 0. Divided by 2 is 0. So there was no variation. Are we saying that there was no variation? Is that right?
Yeah, it means the whole stock was up. The standard and actual were at that same point.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we cannot take the average with signs on them, because if you take the average of -5 and +5, what's the average?
And
0.
by 2, 0, right?
0, right? Mathematically.
Yeah, 0 mathematically, but if we ignore these signs, then it's 5. That's just
Thank
5.
you very much. Come here now. Next column E, MAD. That's called mean absolute deviation. Forget about mean, M right now. It's absolute deviation, right? The 2 bars, right? The 2 bars that you put around the number, meaning indicating that it's an absolute number. We are ignoring the sign.
Yeah.
Because from a sales perspective, hey, this was also a variation in one direction, a variation in other direction. Both are variations. So we need to consider both, right? Right. So then you do the absolute number, then take the mean. The mean of the absolute number is MAD. This number 5 is simply an average of this column. So what we did first step, made a forecast, got the actuals, take the difference, made the absolute, and then for the 12 months, got the average. 5 is that's the key number 5. That's your magic number 5. Once you have done all of this, you get the number 5. That is called mean absolute deviation. Now to keep things, and we're getting very close to getting safety stock. To keep things simple, you can use 5, which is called MAD. However, to be more accurate, you need you can use another measure of variability, which is called the standard deviation. They both represent the same aspect of forecast, which is variability. MAD is got this way, it's simple. Standard deviation a little bit more complex. You square the deviation and then use this formula. Divide by n minus 1, n is your number of months. So 12 months minus 1 is 11 months. Divide by 11, do a root, and then do a square and then root. So that way, you can use Excel. Simply go to Excel, highlight the area, ask for deviation, and give deviation. Or you can calculate. It's not a big calculation. It's very simple. Keep summing up and then divide by n. So if you use standard deviation, you get 6. That's the difference. So 6 is more accurate.
Excuse me,
Right.
sir. So which deviation has more reliability?
The standard deviation. This is the only, so more reliable is the standard deviation through this formula.
Right. Okay, sir.
You can use mean absolute deviation by this method, but if you want to really be fancy about it, use this formula. In this formula, all you're doing is you square them up. It's right here. You square the differences, add them up, divide by 11, and take the root. This is it.
Yes, sir.
Column F is that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. So now we got this number. Let's say 6. Let's say we want to use standard deviation. What do we do with it? How do we get safety stock? So then the other factor. One is, we said there were 2 factors that determine safety stock. One is the variability. You measure that by MAD or standard deviation. You got that number. The second part is customer service level. Remember 90%, 95%. That, where is that? So that's here. There's a statistical table. You don't need to calculate that. It's given already to you. It's in your book. Pick any stats book. This is the table. And it's drawn out for the normal distributions. It's all like science that we don't need to research on. It's all done for you. So these are the service levels. And right in front of it, for each service level, there is a factor. For 90%, 1.28, 91, 1.34. So let's say we want to target customer service level of 95%. So we simply go to the table, look up the number, 1.64. All we need to do now is, all the hard work is done. All we need to do now is multiply your standard deviation, this number, or your MAD, whichever you choose to use, times your factor of safety, customer service level. So 6 times 1.64 is 10. So 10 number is your safety stock. What it means is, based on this demand, this profile, if you maintain a buffer inventory or safety stock of 10 pieces on top of your demand, 95% of the time, you'll be able to ship on time and full quantity. Maybe 5% will be at risk. That's all it means. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Can you repeat again the standard deviation, the calculation?
Sure. So we got MAD, right? MAD is simple. Average of these. So for standard deviation, you square the MADs. 5 is 25, 10 is 100, etc., etc. Then add them up.
375, right?
Right. Then that's the number in your, within the parentheses brackets.
Okay.
You square it, divide by 11, 12 minus 1, and then root. You get 6.
Okay.
Just try it on a calculator, you'll find it. Okay.
Yeah, I understood it.
Yeah, I'll send this file to Paula and she can share it with you. Will that be okay, Paula, if I send it to you?
Yeah, so you're going to send me the whole presentation, and then you can send the spreadsheet, and I'll put them both in the classroom under guest speaker for your topic.
Perfect. That'll be great. Thank you so much. So that's how we get the safety stock number.
Sir, can you please explain me how you got this 10, the safety stock?
10, this 10,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So are you okay
I'm-
with getting the standard deviation here?
Yes, I'm okay till standard deviation, but I'm
Perfect.
confused the below part that you were explaining.
So like we said, let me go back for 1 second here. So there are two factors that determine safety stock. Variability is your standard deviation. We're okay with that. We know how to calculate that. The
Yes.
second part is customer service level, right? Now let's look at that. We multiply the variability factor, standard deviation, times the service level factor. Then we get safety stock. So how do we do that? We got this number 6 standard deviation. Now, now for service level, we have to do two things. First of all, decide what service level do you want for your business. 95%, 90%, 80%, 100%, what?
So what is the average? Like, what is the random number? Like, how companies
Industry
do it?
thumb rule is 95,
95. Okay.
right? Most consumer goods industries work with 95%. Suppose you make that decision 95%, then all you need to do is look up a statistical table. This table in your statistical books is called service level factors for normal distribution. You will have on this file anyway, but you can open any stats book. It's on from very beginning chapters, or Google it. Google service level factors, you'll find it there. I got from Google. So it's very commonly used table. So what I'm doing is, first we make a decision. What is our target customer service level? Assume we make it 95. So in this column, you look at 95%. Right against it is that number of 1.6. That's your factor.
So these are the
Okay.
probability factors, sir?
Yes, exactly. There you go.
The table, right?
This is bell curve, normal distribution probabilities.
Oh, normal distribution table, right? I do
There you go,
remember.
sir. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So this means that if you use this factor of 1.64, multiply this number of 1.64 to what you got as standard deviation. So 6 times, ignore this coefficient variability. I'll explain that in a second. But 6 times 1.64 for 95% service level is 10. That's how you got the 10.
Right.
6 times 1.64. And 1.64 came from here.
Mhm.
Is that okay?
So
Yes.
1.64.
Is it
You
not 9.84?
1.84, you
Uh,
need 1.88 if you want to go to 97%.
no, if
of
you do
customer
6 times 1.64.
I'm sorry?
If you do 6 times 1.64.
It should be around 10, rounded.
Yeah, 9.84. Okay.
Yeah, rounded.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Very good. So we got there. This is your simply. Now there's a coefficient variability. It's just mathematical number. You divide the standard deviation by your average. So take this number 6, divide by the average. It shows how much variability is there, but there's so many other metrics here. And then you look at the bias. While we have time, let me explain to you folks. I really should explain to you. It's important. Well, so when you forecast, there are different ways to measure the accuracy or forecast performance, because so much is riding on forecast. You're investing billions of dollars based on business forecast. You're buying raw materials, you're employing people, you are committing yourself to a lot of expenditure based on a certain forecast. That's what forecast is all, where it all begins. And forecast is a very important activity in supply chain management. Very important. It goes wrong, your business can go wrong. So bias is a consistent shift in one direction. In simple terms, you're constantly forecasting 100 and selling 90 only. So first month, your production department makes 100 because you said make 100, you forecast, sell 90. What happens to the 10? Sitting there. Next month, again, you forecast 100. They made 100 for you. You sell 90. So 10 goes, sits in the warehouse, as to previous 10 becomes 20. So if you keep doing every month, what's happening? It's a bias. You are constantly selling less than forecasting. So you're building inventory, which can expire, can go to waste, it's sitting money there, it's a lot of losses. On the other hand, if you're forecasting 100 and keep selling 105, 110, so each month you are rushing your production department, hey, make some more, we are selling more, we are selling more, we are selling. So there's expediting, there's overtime, there's weekend work, there's frustration, that these folks don't know what they're doing, etc., etc. So bias in any one direction on a consistent basis is bad. So one month you made oversell, next month you sell less. On the average, it kind of falls back, it washes off. That's the idea. So the variability should be in both directions on an ongoing basis. If there is a constant bias in one direction, you have to investigate on what's going on. You have to adjust your forecast. All right, then I want to explain bias to you. Very nice, excellent job, guys. Good questions. I'm very happy that your understanding is excellent. You know the stuff. So remember that you have to, whenever you go into a job, you're working or you'll go very soon and have built excellent careers. Remember that safety stock will be with you, something that you really need to understand. There are many other factors. So like any other topic in supply chain is very critical because it affects your customer service and your profitability. I'd like to wrap up here, Paula, and I'd like to also show them what courses are being offered in the next coming quarter. So
Sir, can you share this recording with us with the documents you're going to share with Paula?
Recording is with Paula. I don't record. She's the master.
Yes,
Hello?
it'll be shared in the Career Center under guest speaker under the topic of supply chain for today. I will be sharing the presentation as well as the spreadsheet. And then if AFTAB has any of flyers for courses, pricing, anything like that, I'll be loading that too.
Thank you, Paula.
Hello?
Yep.
I have a question.
Sure.
I have two questions actually. So my first question is, on basis of what criteria do companies forecast their demand? Because you said that it's for usually on yearly basis they do that. So based on like what criteria, what do they consider when they have to like forecast? Okay, so if the demand is 80, then we have to produce 85. What factors play a role in that? Like how do they know?
A second question.
The second question is, like you said, it's done on a yearly basis that they estimate, they forecast everything, right? So like the pandemic that hit, why was we had so much supply chain issues, right, with the companies because they were not able to like supply or meet the demand. So why didn't the safety stock play a major role in that time?
Very good question. Various pointed questions and intelligent questions. So first question, criteria for rolling forecast or sale forecast. Criteria is your market, your customer, your competition, your growth targets. You want to grow by 10%, you add that to your budget. And then the time dimension. The time dimension will depend on what you call short term, what you call mid-term, or what you call long term. So companies on an ongoing basis every year, they have a long-term plan, 3 to 5 years, have mid-term plan, 2 to 3 years, depending on exactly on your business. And they have a budget. Budget is a different thing than forecasting planning. Budget is your commitment to your company. Your company's CEO has a commitment to deliver the budget. It's called deliver the budget. Because based on that will be your share prices, your bonuses, your salaries, your expense, everything else. So budget is more locked in. That's your forecast. That doesn't mean that you cannot change it, but then you call that a variance. You have budget locked in, then compare with it and say what we did, called a variance. You don't change the budget for the current year, for the year to come. And then the third or fourth year, there's a strategic plan or long-term plan, the different names for it. But the criteria is your product, market, and conditions. Those things go into your mind, in your algorithms, in your computer. You feed that data, then you work on a forecast. And the forecast techniques are two types of techniques. One is the numbers technique, which is call it quantitative, formulas and algorithms. The other one is qualitative. That's what computers don't know what you know as a human being. You look at situation, COVID, how the pandemic is affecting rolling out or troughing or peaking and all that. You can put that into a model, into numbers, but basically there's an overlay of human intelligence that actually holds the forecast. That's your criterion: the market, the product, and situation. Okay. Then yearly. So you do it yearly, lock down the budget, but you look out also in the upcoming years. So you have a rolling on, you do it every year, it's a rolling basis. Every year you look out 3 years. So this year, last year, September, you're looking at 2022, 23, 24. 22 was the budget. Following year, your strategic plan. 22 September, you look at 23 as a budget and 24, 25 as a rolling plan. So that's how keep rolling your plans. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can write me your questions if you need more details or the time we're running out of time perhaps, then feel free to send me your questions by email. I'll be pretty glad to reply to you. We've got 3 minutes only. I'll just go through this quickly. BRASI presents certification courses in supply chain management, must have for professional development. All these professions, you go to our customers and students come from here. And for Pierce College, we have good questions. So contact information is here. You can always write to me at aftab.com at brasi.org. I'll be glad to answer your questions. That's all from me. Thank you so much, folks, for your time.
Okay, does anybody have any questions before we go?
No, ma'am.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So Aftab is going to email me this presentation along with the spreadsheet. He's also going to send me some flyers that talk about the course and what the pricing is and when the deadline is for you to enroll. And I will upload those all in the classroom before the end of today. So once again, Aftab, thank you so much. It was a very informative presentation. And have a great day, everybody. Take care.
It's a pleasure always. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye, Paula. Bye, sir.
Bye.